I can just hear the shrieking right now. Peanut butter? What's wrong with peanut butter? You're trying to take my peanut butter away now? I'm not trying to take anything away. You can have your peanut butter. But I'm just trying to make you aware of what's in your peanut butter and why, in my opinion, and the scientific data shows that peanut butter does not make a good all-around food to eat on a regular basis, or in my opinion, and quite a bit in other people's opinion, not a good food to eat at all. And when you talk about survival situations, this is certainly not a food that you would want. Now, I'm sure at this point, people are screaming at their screen and saying, what are you talking about? What are you getting at? How can peanut butter, a natural food nut, is bad for you? And so it's a lot worse when you have the more refined peanut butter. Now, if you're talking about freshly made peanut butter and no added oils, well, because there's actually two different categories here of problems we have with peanut butter. One of them is oils. And if you're talking about no oils are added, and it's fresh right then and there, and you consume it, it's a lot less of a health issue than if you have something that's processed sitting on a shelf for a few weeks, or sitting in your pantry that's been opened, and what you have, and I'll just get right into it. So oils. Now, these oils oxidize, people, because typically they're almost always some type of vegetable oil or other peanut oils, and they oxidize. Check it out. So when these oils are exposed to air, and there's air, oxygen in the air, within a matter of minutes to hours, they oxidize and they become inflammatory because they're now rancid. You're not going to be able to always taste rancid, but it's there. And so you have to be mindful, just because it doesn't taste bad because of all the sugar and all the, artificial flavoring, you're not going to taste the rancidness. But when you have oxidized oils, it is definitely harmful, especially to your vascular system, to inflame the walls of your arteries, and you wonder why plaque is able to adhere and stick to it, because you've broken down through inflammation. Things, like oils do that to you. So they're very inflammatory. Now, the second thing, which is a little more detailed, is that these nuts, in particular peanuts, nuts in general almost all have this, but peanuts, especially if you're talking about in peanut butter, people consume a lot more peanut butter at one sitting, usually because it's in a form of a sandwich than maybe just a small handful of dried nuts. So they have this thing called phytate, and these phytates, which are in large amounts, once again, they bind with your minerals, and this is not a good thing. What minerals may you say? Well, here's a few of them: zinc, iron, magnesium, calcium, chromium, manganese. And these lead you to become nutrient deficient because it binds with those minerals, like I said, and it inhibits the absorption of these minerals into your digestive system, so especially your large intestines. It doesn't allow the uptake of those minerals. And so when you eat nuts and as your main meal, or with your other main items in your meal, you block a lot of that, and you bind it up and you eliminate it, and you never get the benefit of the food you just ate, which is the whole point of eating a meal, is to keep yourself full of nutrients so you can function, and give yourself calories as well too. But nutrients, is a big deal, so you have to have it. Now, if you're just going to eat nuts and you're just thinking, well, I don't really care what you say, I'm going to have nuts. Maybe I'll cut the peanut butter out, but I'm having nuts. And I will agree, not all nuts are bad. I mean, this is not, and nuts in general aren't like the worst thing in the world. I'm not preaching against the whole category of nuts, but because there's a lot of other foods that have phytates too. But you have to know how to eat them. And so, yes, just basically don't do peanut butter. So we've already defined that. That's a given. But if you do eat nuts, do it about 2 hours before or 2 hours after you have your main meal. So you'd only want to consume nuts in the raw and or dried form. It could be in roasted form too. Before or after about 2 hour window. That allows the nutrients from your main meal to go ahead and get absorbed. And when you eat the nuts, which should be by themselves, they won't have anything to bind with. So this is just a tip there. So you'll actually have no problems with uptake of your minerals because there won't be any of that being processed when you have your nuts. Just eat your nuts separately. You know, have it as a separate snack if you're going to have them. And it's not a bad thing to have some nuts every once in a while. Now, so these things should not be incorporated into your main meal, is what I'm saying. And just basically don't use oils. Don't you have, you know, peanut butters and other cashew, you know, butters, all these things that have all these oils. You just don't want that for what I just explained, the oils and how they oxidize. So it probably is the best in terms of just the nutrient content of the nuts when you eat them by themselves to be in the raw form, especially for the vitamin content of it, because when you heat them up, especially when you roast them, yeah, you're destroying all those, especially the water-soluble, vitamins. And so the vitamin content will be low, but in terms of the minerals, they're still intact when you roast them. And so that's just definitely an option. But I just wanted to bring this up. So as you can see, this is all based on not my speculation or my opinion. This is just literally facts. And there's a lot of people who don't want to talk about this. They'd love to get their white bread out and slather a big hunk of peanut butter. And I know a lot of my subscribers do that. I've seen them do it in their videos. And with all due respect, I'm not telling you what to do. And I'm not trying to judge you at all. But I'm just trying to say, because I respect you so much, I'm trying to just give you a little bit of a hint to check into this. If anything you do, at least check into this and you'll find that it's true. And if you can at least reduce the amount of peanut butter, at least that's going to be that much more healthier for you. If you cut it out, you're going to be that much better off. And especially if you can do the things that you eat your bread with, like that white bread. If you can just cut out all your bread and crackers. And I know that's going to really upset a lot of people because they're like, oh, what are you, like the food Nazi now, aren't you? The art of prepping. No, I'm just being totally brutally honest. And people are not honest with you sometimes. You know, nutritionists and doctors, they won't sit here and tell you this stuff. There's a lot of foods that are just not good for you. There's a lot of good food, you know, there's a lot of good foods, though, out there that can replace them. And so we don't have a problem with shortages of good food. We just have too many bad foods that have taken over and replaced in our minds and on our dinner tables, foods that we should be eating. And so we need to replace the bad foods with the good foods again. We need to reverse a lot of this. And so avoid the oils and avoid the phytates when you eat other foods so that you can get the maximum amount of nutritional value from those foods, because we don't want the phytates to bind and block the uptake and absorption of those foods. As always, thanks for watching. And if you have any kind of questions, feel free to put them down below. Also, if you would like to make suggestions about other alternative foods instead of peanut butter that can give you some of the same satisfaction. Just remember, though, people say, oh, the peanut butter, though, gives you all this protein. But you got to remember, though, it's not a complete protein. It just gives you a few of those 9 amino acids that you need. It doesn't give you all the 9 amino acids that are the essential amino acids. So you still need to go and do other foods to get that and to create that into a complete protein. And so don't be misled on the label and it says, oh, you have this much protein. Yeah, but that protein is actually in amino acids that don't translate into a complete protein molecule. So with that, you guys take care. I'll catch you real soon.